Hello, Barton, level 7, lesson 7, double sevens, lucky number sevens today. Okay, so today we are working on what we call the Edward the Lizard rule. Okay, so it is working on the difference between accented ARD and unaccented ARD. So again, think of these as lead singer, background singers, okay? So in the word hard right here, we have the AR saying its accented sound, R, okay? But if we look at a word like this, where we move to this, where the ARD is unaccented. So again, in American English, well, all English, we typically accent the first syllable. That's typical. We have lots of words where the second syllable is accented, but typically the first syllable is accented. Liz, erd. Okay, so here's your background singers, your unaccented syllable. This is going to soften a little bit. This is where we get lazy. We can't accent both syllables when we're talking. Liz, erd. So when you hear erd at the end, it's going to be spelled A-R-D. And we see that in a lot of words like stand, erd, A-R-D. Oh, my AR is here. ARD. Custard. But now we get to this compound word. This is a compound word. Both are real words. Stockyard. Do you see how now this is accented again because this is a compound word. Stockyard. The next word, we also talk about the word guard, having this U next to it and being a little bit tricky here. This U is silent. And so we talk about that for a brief second. And then we go into another compound word like safeguard. And then I remind them by looking at this word that the silent E is always going to be stronger than the vowel R. So just as a reminder, silent E always beats vowel R. So if you think about poker, we've always got silent E always beating vowel R. That's why this is going to say fire and not fur, okay? Because that's going to be stronger. Same thing in a word like board. We can also see that in the word board, what else beats a vowel R is a vowel team, okay? So if they're trying to divide, and the reason that this is important for them to know is because let's say they're trying to divide the word board, which they wouldn't need to because it's one syllable, but if they're trying to read it, they have to know that this isn't going to say R right here, board. It's board. The OR, the OA here is always going to be more superior. It's going to come together more often than the vowel R. I know that's tricky and that's complicated. We've been talking about it for a while with your student. And then the next part, we start by reminding them that we have bossy W where the W makes this say war. And then we build this word, and this is the word, not the word ward. It is the word ward, okay? So we use that, and when we're talking about a lot of directions, forward, backward, windward, southward, all of those. Typically, it's a direction. I don't know why, to be very honest, in my opinion, this should actually be more of a suffix, meaning direction. But it's not categorized that way, and so I don't teach it that way. But we also see it in a word like Edward, where obviously it's not a direction, it's just part of the name, but I think that's actually pretty unusual because the rest of them, westward, windward, those are all direction words. So I don't know. So when you hear word at the end of these directions, I always call them direction words, forward, backward, rearward. When you hear word at the end, it's going to be spelled W-A-R-D. So that's a quick synopsis of what we learned today. Again, you know, your student's pretty advanced at this part. We get into the weeds. It's very technical. Nothing that they've probably ever learned in school, nothing that I learned in school as a teacher. So, all right, let's look at the extra practice work. The extra practice pages start with some new sight words. Again, if your student hasn't learned the sight words in this lesson, they might have an X, or they might, your tutor might have just said, don't do the sight word practice yet. But if they have, she asked her, this is looking for a real sentence. She asked her aunt to sew her torn skirt. Okay, and you can go through. I think they'll be able to figure those out. Same thing as usual. Let's make some sentences out of here, read them out loud. And then lastly, we are going to make real words by adding WARD or ARD to the line. Okay, so we've got after word. That tells us when. Okay, so I guess direction or time. Mustard. Oop. Orchard. Oh my gosh, I can't. Apparently my fingers are used to going that direction. I'm not going to put that in. Backward, there's a direction. Onward, I think that's a direction. Harvard and Hazard. Okay, now if you grew up in the time that I did, which probably isn't many of you anymore, but Friday nights, Dukes of Hazzard. Dang, if that place didn't have two Z's in it. It sure did. It was really responsible for a whole generation of people spelling hazard wrong because the Dukes of Hazzard had two Z's. But I digress. All right, let's go into fluency drills. You know, same thing as always. Make sure your student isn't guessing. They should be reading. They should be able to decode these. They should be looking for compound words like snowboard and scoreboard and lifeguard. There's lots of compound words in here. Oh, here's another scoreboard. We have some tricky words like blizzard and wizard. They rhyme. One has two Z's and one doesn't. That gets a little bit tricky. And hazard, like we just talked about, one Z. Okay, so they should be reading these. This is a great time to work on vocab as well. If you are looking for something for vocabulary, let's switch back here because I do have, remember there is Quizlet available. That is linked in the online resources that you get from your tutor. That is linked there, and there is a Barton level. This is lesson, yeah, there's a level, there's Barton level 7 lesson 7 right here. So if they really want to just flip through some of the vocab and learn some of those words, they're here. So anyhow, that's it. Have a great day.